My mother told everyone my husband left me because I was too career-focused, but actually, he had a 2-year affair with her best friend. So I did this at her birthday dinner, and now she's begging for forgiveness. Throwaway, for obvious reasons. Husband, male, 34, cheating with my mom's best friend, and my mom knew all along. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. Didn't think I'd ever be sharing something like this, but here we are. I'm still in shock as I type this, so sorry if this is a mess. I, female, 32, just found out my husband of 7 years has been having an affair with my mom's best friend, female, 58, and my mom, female, 60, has known about it for months while telling everyone my career obsession ruined my marriage. I feel like I'm going insane. Okay, so some background, I guess. Brian and I met during my second year of grad school. We bonded over hiking and this local craft beer place. I know, we were that couple, lol. We just clicked right away, and I remember thinking he was different because he seemed so supportive of my career goals. We had conversations about this stuff before getting married. Kids, maybe someday, but not right away. Careers, both important. Where to live, all that responsible adult stuff you're supposed to talk about. I've been at the same marketing firm for 5 years now, worked my way up to senior project manager, which I'm actually really proud of. And yeah, sometimes I work late, but honestly not that often, maybe once or twice a week. And I travel for work maybe 3 to 4 times a year for like 2 to 3 days at a time. Not exactly a workaholic situation. We always had our date nights and weekend trips and stuff. I even turned down a promotion 3 years ago that would have meant traveling like 2 weeks every month because I wanted to keep our work-life balance healthy. Brian seemed totally fine with everything, or at least I thought he was. Then last Tuesday happened. I came home early, like 5:30 instead of my usual 6:30ish, with takeout from our favorite Thai place. I was in a really good mood because I'd wrapped up this huge project and my boss was super happy with it. When I got home, I called out for Brian. He came out of our bedroom looking weird and told me we needed to talk. I made a stupid joke about how serious that sounded while unpacking the food. Then he told me he wanted a divorce. I dropped the container I was holding, pad thai, all over our kitchen floor. I asked if he was joking. He wasn't. He told me he'd been unhappy for a while and needed space and we'd grown apart and all these cliche phrases that didn't explain anything. Like, what does grown apart even mean after 7 years of marriage? I was sobbing, asking what I did wrong, begging him to try couples therapy, anything. He just stood there with this weird detached look, telling me his mind was made up. He'd already rented an apartment and was moving out that weekend. Who does that? Who rents an apartment before even talking to their spouse about problems in the marriage? I was completely blindsided. 7 years of marriage over in a 5-minute conversation over spilled takeout. I called my mom, Marilyn, that night, crying. She came over and comforted me, saying all the right things. For context, my mom has always been a bit traditional and hasn't fully embraced my career ambitions. She's made comments over the years about how I should focus more on finding a good husband and settling down, even after I was already married. Like, what was that about? Brian actually used to defend me when she'd make those comments at family dinners. I guess that should have been a red flag that he secretly agreed with her or something. I don't know. Anyway, a few weeks go by. I'm still devastated, but trying to function. Then I start hearing weird comments from family and friends. My aunt asked how I was balancing things now and made a comment about career women having it hard. My college roommate texted about work taking over. My cousin mentioned something about men needing more attention than we realize, which was just, what the frick? I was confused until my cousin Sarah called. She asked me if it was true that Brian left because I was working too much and neglecting the marriage. I was like, what? She told me my mom had been telling everyone that my divorce was happening because I was too career-focused and didn't prioritize my marriage enough. This shocked me. My mom knew how upset I was, yet she was spreading this story that blamed me. And it wasn't even true. I mean, yes, I worked hard, but Brian and I had talked about this. He knew what my career meant to me from the beginning. Then last week, everything changed. I was getting coffee near my office when I ran into Jim, my dad's coworker. He mentioned seeing Brian having lunch with Judy, my mom's best friend of 30+ years, at this Italian place downtown. He said they were holding hands across the table, looking very coupley. And Jim had no idea about our separation because my parents hadn't told people on my dad's side yet. so he mentioned it totally casually with no idea what he was telling me. At first, I thought he must be mistaken. Judy's known Brian for years through family stuff. She got divorced herself like 3 years ago. Brian helped her set up her new TV after she moved. Last Christmas, she gave him this really expensive watch that seemed weird at the time, like $500 weird for a family friend gift. But I didn't think much of it then. God, I feel so stupid now. But something about Jim's comment nagged at me. I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I decided to do some digging. We still had a shared cloud account that we never disconnected where our photos automatically upload. I hadn't checked it since the separation because I didn't want to torture myself with vacation photos or whatever. What I found made me physically sick. I literally threw up in my trash can at work. There were messages, photos, intimate photos, and conversations between Brian and Judy going back over 2 years. 2 fucking years. That means they started this affair when we were only 5 years into our marriage. I kept scrolling through messages, feeling weird and disconnected. And then I found it. Messages showing that Judy had been telling my mother about the affair for at least 6 months before Brian asked for the divorce. My mother knew. She knew my husband was cheating on me with her best friend. And not only did she not tell me, she's been telling everyone that our marriage failed because of my career. I can't. Has anyone dealt with something like this? I feel like I'm losing my mind. The 2 people I trusted most, my husband and my mother, have completely betrayed me. I honestly don't even know what to do next. Part of me wants to confront them all. Part of me just wants to curl up and cry for like a year. I mean, who does this to their own daughter? Like, I keep thinking there has to be some explanation, but what possible explanation could there be for keeping your daughter's husband's affair a secret? Sorry this got so long. I'm still trying to process everything. Edit. Wow, I wasn't expecting so many responses. Thank you everyone for the support. To answer some questions. 1. No, Brian doesn't know that I know about the affair yet. I'm still processing and figuring out my next steps. 2. My dad doesn't know about my mom's involvement yet either. They're still together and I'm not sure how to handle that part. We've always been close, but he tends to keep the peace with my mom, so I don't know how he'll react. 3. I haven't confronted my mom because I'm honestly afraid of what I might say to her right now. And yes, I've saved everything. Screenshots, backed up the cloud stuff, all of it. 4. For those saying I must have been neglecting my marriage, I promise I wasn't working 80-hour weeks or anything. I was home by 6:30 most nights. We had dinner together almost every night, went on weekend trips at least once a month. I really thought we were happy, but I guess you never really know what someone else is thinking. 5. Yes, I've already called a lawyer. Meeting with them next week. Now for the first update. Wow, just wow. I didn't expect so many responses on my last post. Thank you all for the support and advice. Sorry it's taken me a couple weeks to update, but everything has been absolutely insane, and I've barely had time to breathe, let alone think straight. So, where do I even start? After I found all that evidence in the cloud, I was in shock for like 2 days. I basically just went to work, came home, and tried not to throw up every time I thought about those messages between Brian and Judy. And by the way, to everyone who asked, yes, the photos were exactly what you're thinking. I finally worked up the courage to confront Brian. I thought about doing it in person, but honestly, I was afraid I might actually physically attack him. So I texted him. Yeah, I know, confronting your cheating husband via text isn't ideal, but whatever. I sent him screenshots of some of the messages and just wrote, "Care to explain this?" He called me immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Then he started texting paragraphs. At first, he tried to say I was violating his privacy by looking at the cloud account, which was our shared account that we both set up together. Like, what the frick? Then he switched to this whole "our marriage was already over" narrative. He actually wrote, and I'm paraphrasing because I deleted the texts after taking screenshots for my lawyer, something like, "This thing with Judy wasn't the cause of our problems. It was a symptom. You checked out of our marriage years ago with your constant work focus." I mean, I cannot even. This from the man who knew my career goals before we got married, who used to brag to his friends about how successful I was, who told me he was so proud when I got my promotion last year, who never once in 7 years said, "Hey, maybe you're working too much and it's hurting our relationship." Side note, this is classic Brian behavior. He's always been conflict avoidant. Like one time, he got in a minor fender bender with my car, and didn't tell me for 3 weeks because he was afraid I'd be mad. I only found out because I noticed the dent myself. And he does this thing where he'll agree to something to avoid an argument and then passively resent you for it later. Anyway, after I got those texts from Brian, I was just sitting there in my apartment hyperventilating, trying to figure out what to do about my mom. Like, should I confront her immediately? Should I gather more info first? I was so confused and hurt and angry. I ended up calling my brother Eddie, male, 36. We're pretty close, even though he lives about 2 hours away. Eddie and my mom have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, I was definitely the perfect daughter in my mom's eyes, at least until I started prioritizing education and career over getting married and having babies right away. Eddie and his wife have been trying to have kids for like 5 years with no success, and my mom makes awful comments about it all the time. Like at Christmas, she said, "Well, maybe if you had started trying earlier instead of focusing on your careers." Eddie's wife is a doctor. Just cruel stuff like that. So anyway, I called Eddie and told him everything. He was livid. I could hear him punching a wall while we were on the phone. He said he'd suspected something was off with Mom for a while because she kept making weird comments about poor Brian and how some men just need more attention than others. Eddie told me I needed to confront Mom directly with evidence and not let her wiggle out of it. So that's what I did. I drove to her house on Sunday afternoon, unannounced. My mom was surprised, but happy to see me at first. When I told her we needed to talk, she got a weird look on her face, but sat down with me in the living room. I asked her why she'd been telling everyone that my career caused my divorce. She sighed and said it was obvious that's what happened. I asked if she knew Brian was having an affair with Judy. She denied it, but when I showed her the screenshots where they mentioned her by name, she tried to say I was misinterpreting things. After some back and forth, she finally snapped and said, "Well, what did you expect working those hours? Men have needs, Christina. Brian is a good man who deserved a wife who was present." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own mother was actually blaming me for my husband cheating on me with her 58-year-old best friend. Like, what the actual fuck? I got up and left. I couldn't even look at her anymore. She's been calling and texting nonstop ever since. The messages started defensive, "You're overreacting," then moved to guilt tripping. "After all I've done for you as a mother," and now she's trying to minimize everything. "It's just a misunderstanding. Call me back." I haven't responded to any of it. Eddie did some digging with other family members and found out Mom has been actively helping this affair happen. She would invite Judy to family events where Brian would be and tell everyone I couldn't make it because of work commitments, when in reality, she never even told me about some of these gatherings. She would tell family members I was never home and chose work over my marriage when that wasn't true at all. Well, I mean, I did work hard, and maybe sometimes I brought work home or stayed late, but it wasn't excessive, was it? God, she has me second-guessing myself now. My therapist says that's making me doubt my own reality, but I don't know. Maybe I really did neglect my marriage somehow. But then Eddie found even more evidence. Apparently, Mom would text Brian and Judy to warn them if I was heading home unexpectedly, like she was their lookout or something. One time I decided to leave work early to surprise Brian with concert tickets, and when I got home, he was just getting back from the gym, all showered and weird. Now I know why. My mother had texted him that I was on my way. And get this, I talked to my dad about all this, and he admitted he had suspicions, but didn't say anything because he didn't want to cause problems. Are you kidding me? My own father knew something was off, but kept quiet to keep the peace with Mom. I've been talking with my therapist about all this, and she's helping me see that I'm not responsible for other people's choices. Brian chose to cheat instead of talking to me if he was unhappy. My mom chose to betray me and help the affair. These are their choices, not mine. It's weird, but I'm starting to feel almost empowered. Like, I was so devastated at first, but now I'm just angry. And the anger feels better than the hurt, honestly. So here's the latest development. My mom is having this big 60th birthday dinner next month at this super expensive restaurant downtown. She's invited the entire family, all her friends, and, you guessed it, Judy. I found out from my cousin that she invited Brian too, but he couldn't make it due to prior commitments. I mean, the audacity of this woman. To invite both the woman who had an affair with her daughter's husband and the husband himself to her birthday dinner. After everything that's happened, I got the invitation last week and immediately threw it in the trash. But after talking with my therapist and Eddie, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go, and I have a plan. Eddie thinks I'm crazy. My therapist has concerns, but also says she understands my need for closure. But I need to do this. I need to take back my story and make sure everyone knows the truth. So that's where things stand right now. I'm sorry this update is all over the place. My thoughts are still a jumbled mess most days, but I'm hanging in there. Edit. To the people asking if Brian and Judy are officially together now, I honestly don't know and don't care. As far as I'm concerned, they deserve each other. Edit 2. Yes, I'm still moving forward with the divorce. My lawyer says the evidence of cheating won't make much difference in our state, but I'm keeping it all anyway just in case. Edit 3. A lot of you are asking about my relationship with my dad now. It's strained. He keeps saying he didn't know for sure and was just trying to keep everyone happy. I told him that by trying to keep everyone happy, he made sure his daughter would be devastated. We're not really talking much right now. Edit 4. Thank you for all the supportive comments. I feel less alone knowing so many people understand what I'm going through. And to answer the most common question, yes, I'll update after the birthday dinner. It's in 3 weeks. Now, for the second update. So it's been like 6 weeks since my mom's birthday dinner, and wow, I honestly don't even know where to begin. First, thank you to everyone for all the support on my last posts. I'm sorry it took me so long to update, but I've needed some time to just process everything that happened. My life basically imploded and then somehow put itself back together in a completely different way. Where do I even start? Okay, so after I decided to go to my mom's birthday dinner, I had about 2 weeks to prepare. I didn't want to just show up and make a scene. I wanted undeniable evidence that would shut down any attempt to deny what happened or twist the story. I went full detective mode. Seriously. I gathered everything from the cloud account, organized screenshots of text convos between Brian and Judy by date, found hotel receipts from their joint credit card that I was still technically on, had photos of them together from social media where you could clearly see them being coupley in the background of other people's pictures. I even found a voice message where Brian tells Judy that my mom was helping cover for them. I talked to Eddie, my brother, about my plan. He thought it was either the most badass thing ever or completely insane. He couldn't decide which. He told me I should realize this would blow up the entire family, not just my relationship with mom. And I was like, yeah, I know. But at that point, I was just done. Done with the lies and everyone thinking I was some workaholic who drove my poor husband into the arms of a woman 24 years older than him. Sorry, still makes me mad when I think about it. Anyway, so the day of the dinner arrives. I was really calm, but also wanted to throw up. I kept thinking about how this was probably the last time I'd ever see certain family members, at least the ones who would take mom's side. I spent a long time getting ready. Got my hair done, bought this killer red dress that made me look amazing. I'm not usually a drinker, but I took a shot of whiskey for courage before heading to the restaurant. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely put on my lipstick. When I got to the restaurant, I immediately noticed how the tables were set up. Mom had put Judy at the main table right next to her, place of honor, while my place card was at this little side table with some random distant cousins. I watched everyone arrive. It was weird because I knew most of them had been fed this fake story about my marriage. I overheard my aunt telling my cousin that it was sad what happened with me and Brian, but that's what happens with career women who don't understand what men need. I made small talk through cocktails and dinner, deflecting questions about how I was holding up and if I was taking time off work to heal with vague answers. So many people told me some version of how no job is worth losing a good man over. I noticed Judy kept whispering with my mom, both of them occasionally glancing over at me with fake concerned expressions. Judy looked nervous, though. She kept checking her phone and excusing herself to go to the bathroom. I just smiled at them both when they looked my way. After dinner, my mom stood up to give a speech about the importance of family and how she's always put family first, and I almost started laughing. While she was talking, I quietly connected my phone to the restaurant's Wi-Fi and got everything ready. When Mom finished her speech, I walked up and asked if I could say something too. She looked surprised, but handed over the microphone. I started calmly, saying I'd like to make a toast to my mother on her special day and that I'd learned a lot about family loyalty recently. Then I hit the button on my phone that connected to the restaurant's AV system. I'd called ahead to make sure this was possible and told them I wanted to share family photos for Mom's birthday. The first slide was a screenshot of texts between Brian and Judy talking about their affair. Everyone in the room gasped. I kept going through it all, super calm, explaining the timeline of their affair while showing proof on the big screen. I explained that my husband and my mother's best friend had been sleeping together for over a year at that point. Mom tried to interrupt me, but I just kept going. When I got to the part where Judy texts Brian that my mom understands and supports them, the restaurant went completely silent. Judy started crying and tried to leave, but I told her she might want to stay for the best part. And then I played the voicemail from Brian, where he thanks my mom for covering for them. That time she texted him that I was coming home early. I finished with the screenshots of Mom and Judy discussing how to blame my career for the divorce. I told everyone that now they knew the truth about why my marriage ended. Not because I worked too hard, but because my husband was sleeping with my mother's best friend and my mother helped them do it. My mom tried to grab the mic, but I held on to it and told her that my career is the only thing in my life I can actually count on. Then I put the mic down and walked out while everyone was still sitting there in shocked silence. I turned my phone off and checked into a hotel for the night. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, I had like 75 missed calls and about 1 million texts. Some family members were super supportive, saying they had no idea what happened and were sorry. Others were mad at Emmy for embarrassing my mother publicly. The fallout was big. My dad finally grew a spine and moved out. He told my mom he couldn't believe she would betray their daughter like that. Several of my mom's friends stopped speaking to her once the story got around. Judy moved to her sister's place in Arizona to start fresh. Brian texted me once asking if that was really necessary. I didn't respond. My lawyer says our divorce should be finalized next month. My mom has been trying to reconcile. Daily sorry texts. Expensive gifts showing up at my apartment and office. She even showed up at my workplace one day, and my boss had to ask her to leave. She's been getting family members to plead her case. After about 6 weeks of completely ignoring her, I finally agreed to meet her for coffee last week. She looked different, older. She started crying when I sat down, apologizing over and over. I asked her why she would do this to me. She told me she's always been jealous of my independence and success because she gave up everything for family. She admitted she tried to ruin my happiness because she resented me for having what she never did. I pointed out that she worked to destroy my marriage and then blamed me for it falling apart. She admitted that was wrong and said it came from her own insecurities. I asked if she was still talking to Judy or Brian. She swore she cut ties with both of them. I told her that forgiveness might be possible someday, but trust was completely broken. She begged for a chance to make things right. I set some strict boundaries. No showing up unannounced, no trying to control the narrative with family, no commenting on my career, mandatory therapy for her. I told her we could try occasional phone calls, but that's it for now. I'm still processing everything. I'm hurt, obviously, but I'm also kind of proud of standing up for myself. I spent so many years trying to please everyone else that it felt good to finally put myself first. I just got a huge promotion at work. My boss said the way I handled this personal crisis while still delivering at work showed my leadership potential. So I guess my career focus paid off after all. Some relationships in my family are permanently damaged. Others have gotten stronger. Eddie and I talk almost every day now. He and his wife are coming to visit next month. I'm taking things one day at a time with my mom. I don't know if we'll ever have a real relationship again, but I'm open to the possibility if she shows genuine change. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that my career focus wasn't a weakness like everyone tried to make me believe. It was my salvation. It gave me the financial independence to weather this storm and the confidence to stand up for myself. Anyway, thanks for listening to my crazy story. A lot of you are asking about my dad. We're actually in a better place now. He's renting an apartment and seeing a therapist too. He apologized for not standing up for me sooner and admitted he's been enabling my mom's behavior for decades. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I'm dating again, no. Not ready for that yet. Maybe someday, but right now I'm focusing on myself. Edit 3. Several people have asked if the restaurant staff said anything during my presentation. They mostly just looked shocked and kind of backed away slowly. The manager came over after I finished, but I was already heading out the door. I did leave a very generous tip though. Edit 4. For those wondering if I regret doing it so publicly, honestly, no. After being silently betrayed and publicly blamed, I needed the truth to be just as public. Edit 5. And yes, before anyone else asks, I did change all my passwords, cloud accounts, etc. Brian has zero access to anything of mine now.